Welcome back, guys. This is Mike over at Blackstone Shooting Sports, and today we're going to be answering the question, which Glock is right for me? We're going to go over some of the generational differences between all the different models and kind of give you some ideas. So what we have here is a Gen 3. We'll be going over the Gen 4 here as well, and the newest and brightest Generation 5 Glocks across the board. Now, there are differences between all the different models, and there are some differences in the magazines as well. So all these firearms have been cleared, so if anybody gets angry on the internet about us pointing guns at them, all these firearms are clear, everybody is in a safe direction, and there is nobody around here. As far as magazines are concerned, most of the bodies on these magazines are cross-compatible. The Generation 5 does add that little lip right there, as you guys can see it, as well as a orange follower. These are newer followers for this year, or the last couple of years, for Glock. The Generation 3 and 4 magazines, one thing you will see is the Generation 4s, it's a bad example on this one, but the Generation 4s all have the two-piece cutout for the ambidextrous mag wells. Some older Gen 2s do not have those cutouts. As far as the Gen 3 goes, there are a number of reasons why we still go with Gen 3. The biggest one is California. California is one of those states that still requires Glock Gen 3s on their roster. They have not approved any of the other models as of yet. So that's really why Gen 3 still exists. Gen 3 is a tried and true model across the board. One of the biggest things, as you can see the Glock takedown here, the frame. Frame is the biggest thing with the Gen 3s. You have a slicker frame, those finger grooves, and the significantly smaller magazine release on this gun. When we go over to the Gen 4s, you will see some differences, specifically with the magazine release being significantly larger, 40% or 60% larger than the Gen 3. It is also ambidextrous, so that magazine release can be flipped to the other side. We start to go into the different finishes on the slide. So the Gen 3 features that tenifer finish on some of the older models, and it was phased into a nitride finish and then eventually a DLC finish on the Gen 5s. Other big things for the Gen 4, we get those finger grooves still back. Some people love them, some people hate them. That's personal preference. The inclusion of back straps with the firearms. So Glock does have some add-on back straps for the Gen 4 and up. We also have a slightly different texture, which is a little bit more aggressive. For some people, that's great. When we get up into the Gen 5, newest and greatest, we omit those finger grooves because, again, some people don't like them, some people like them. We still have the available additional back straps, and we add that magazine well, so that flared magazine well, which certainly helps with those speedy reloads. Another big feature of the Gen 5 is the inclusion of the ambidextrous slide stop. That is another feature on the Gen 5s. One other feature being the Picatinny style rail now. So these are true 1913 spec Picatinny rail, whereas the Gen 3 uses and Gen 4 use the universal style rail. A DLC finish, so diamond-like carbon on that slide, inclusion of some front cocking serrations, and then a new marksman barrel from Glock, which basically goes back to the traditional rifling versus your polygonal rifling, which is in the older models. So the true answer here is that any Glock, no matter the generation, is right for you. It all depends on what your budget and what you're trying to accomplish is. Now keep in mind that most of the Gen 4s and Gen 5s do come in that MOS configuration, so that is your optic cut configuration. We don't have any of them here today, but you'd see the two screws on the top as well as the plastic optic plate that you can remove and replace your optics if that's one of those things you choose to do. For us here, we do have a range on site, so we see a lot of Glocks that come through. Glocks rented here are probably rented more than frequently than anything else in the 10 years of business that we've been here, and they never break. That is a true testament of Glock's perfection. We will see you on the next one.